I'm gonna go over a number of things today, show some gameplay and some units, some map editors, some theme editor, and hopefully here in a little bit, I will get to share with you an update on the release date or a new target for that release date, and I hope folks will be pleased with it. So before we get into that, let's jump in and take a look at today's Chronon mission. I always like to look at these because this is a randomly generated map. They're meant to be slightly more casual, as in not giant 5-hour campaigns, but something that you could do in 30 minutes, 20 minutes, that sort of thing. They tend to be smaller maps. So today, what do we have for October 9, 2020? Modestly sized, 5 totems, 9 urns. That's good. We're going to have some upgrades. Um, we got 4 emitters, 3 spore launchers, 1 blob nest, a skimmer factory, and no air sacs. Good. So let's jump on in. Take a look here. Okay, we've got area denier here. That gray area is area that you can't operate in unless you build a beacon to expose it. Oh, look at this. Let's go top down. I got some holes in the terrain here. That's just an interesting artifact of the random generation. A little bit of Raised by Wolves action going on there, if anybody saw that series. Um, and we've got Enemy Island. Look at this. It's on its own little island here. Bunch of bunch of bad guys, and then an emitter right here that's going to be not too great to get to. I wonder if we'll be able to nullify it from this range here. Let's see. So let's drop down. Now, there's already a difference in the game from the demo, and I will explain that right now. This is something that was enabled after the demo build. I'm going to build out an initial network, and you'll notice long-time players will immediately say to themselves, "No, wait a second. I played the demo, and I know that that lab drops down with enough energy to build exactly 2 towers, and no more than 2 towers. But I have 4 things hooked up to the lab to start with, so I'm already making a mistake." That's what I want to talk about. So let's not even take pains. Let's just drag them down and kind of have at it. And while we're at it, let's uh, let's put down some miners. That, you say, will severely hamper the expansion of your network. So let's unpause and now pay attention to what happens. So the energy just got depleted, but notice that we're looking at a build that's not sending packets to all of them. Send it to one of them at a time after the initial amount of energy was distributed in parallel. So this is a smarter packet routing algorithm that can be quite relevant during the initial phase, especially if you tend to build too much stuff connected to start with. Uh, you can select the lab, and there are priority build towers and miners. You can disable that if you don't like it, or if you don't like it later in the game. It's no problem, turn it off, and it goes back to the dispatching algorithm that Creep World games have had for the last 10 years. But this is more intelligently distributing packets. Now, as my production goes up, I can distribute multiple packets at a time, so things are building in parallel as appropriate. But it gives priority to building the most complete tower first. Towers have priority over miners, but miners are next. And as I've built my network out, they are getting some juice now. So let's not goof around too much here because there's some goodies and baddies over here that I want to take care of before anything bad happens. In particular, look at this. There is some breeder terrain here. We want to get these things nullified. We want to get things activated. Now let's pause. Let's see, where is our green R? Right here. So I've already got 23 gen on energy, and I didn't have to do a lot of micro management and of the build order to do that. One little flaw right here that I didn't build a tower down here, but we'll correct that mistake. And we need to get a factory. And how about a greenar refinery to harvest these crystals? And a sprayer we're going to build, and then we need these guys, and we're going to put one on blue-eyed at least, because I want just a little bit of anti-creeper to seed this flip breeder terrain. Okay. So there's something else on this map. There are these urns. And for folks that are unfamiliar with those, I will explain what those urns are, how they replace power zones and upgrades and all sorts of stuff. Now I'm going to build some of these guys out in parallel, but again, I don't have to worry too much. As long as I've got the energy, they'll build in parallel. If not, they'll serialize, so the most complete one will finish first. All right, so you know something I need to do here. Let's jump on. Let's get a fast link going to cut out the propagation delays. You know what? Sorry. You know what? I've had the sound off. Let's put some sound in. You've just been hearing my voice. That's not as entertaining as the game. First nullification, second one coming up. This guy we're going to put to always on so that he drops his anti-creeper here on this flip terrain. We got greenar coming in. We've got some arg that will build up. These guys are 1 minute out. If I point to my mini map here, we can make this bigger. It's a little easier to see maybe. I'm 1 minute out from launches. I'll get a warning in about another, looks like 3 seconds. So let's build. That guy's not going to get activated, is he? Probably not. So I'm dreadfully afraid of eggs and blobs. And let's get some missile coverage. I think the missile coverage is semi-optional in that depending on the map you can kind of deal with the spores depending on their payload, how many, size of the map and all that. I need to build a few weapons. That might be nice. Get ready for the enemy. Let's sprinkle a couple cannons around. I'll consolidate these forces later. It's just I don't know for sure what's going to happen, so I want to make sure I got coverage on everything. All right, we're getting an activation. We are going to get that guy activated, assuming there's enough lifting. Maybe. Comes down to the crystal harvest rate once that got completed. He's going to get activated. That's going to be good. So I'm going to take out the threats on my extended island here. Hopefully. Active, active, active. Great, great, great. They won't get targeted by eggs once they are secure. Okay, and then here comes the first threats. What do we have? Just in case we don't get missile. I think there's a missile here that may take. Yeah, it should get taken out. These missiles should take out these spores. Let's take a closer look at the trajectory here. Inbound and what took care of it. And what's going to take care of it. This guy right here, this little missile launcher. He's going to head straight up, take care of that guy. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this is called free view mode. If you don't know this from a demo, you can hit Shift F to toggle it, and then as you move the mouse around, your view changes. You can use your WASD keys, your first-person keys, or the arrow keys to move in the direction that you're pointing. So I can zoom, can kind of fly way out. Another thing that you might not know, I've got it turned on, or you see those red outlines around the enemies there? That's called enemy outline. It's in your visibility menu. I think for the full game that will be on by default. I like it. I like it so much that I think it should be on by default. You can of course toggle that off if you don't want it. And these are transient settings per map, but you can go into your settings and change them here. These are permanent settings, so the default values. You may notice this is a little different from the demo. I've consolidated this into one button with a more standard game menu that most people are familiar with. Anyway, so let's Shift R, by the way, when you're in free view mode, Shift R will toggle your mouse, so you get your mouse pointer back, and then you can kind of pan it around after you've locked your view. So yeah, with this free view mode, you can do fly-throughs, and you can do things like go into the creeper and check things out up close to see what's going on inside if you really want to. It can be fun to get some neat screenshots. When you're done, you can hit Shift F to exit, or you can reset the cam. There's a key binding for that, C, and you can change these key bindings in the settings as well. So now I'm back in sort of a standard RTS view where I pan, zoom, and rotate. Okay, back to destruction. We have good coverage, and I've got urns all over the place I should be looking for, and I've got a number that are buried. You can see a buried urn here. You can see them on the map here. Urn, buried, they're the white ones, these white cubes. Let's place, can we do it here maybe? No, just out of range here. Well, it's okay. I'll move it. I'll put one there, and then one, no, I don't have to. I can put one here that will get both urns. This one, oh, it's that one I need. That one's already uncovered. It's okay. The terps are movable. They're just needed to dig out these buried urns. I can see I have 2 available, and there's 7 that are buried. Next set of discrete incoming. You can see it's going to be spores. Spore and spore. I've taken out the blob nest. As long as I keep it taken out, I don't have to worry about blobs. So that's good. This yellowish terrain here is Flip Breeder, and it is producing this anti-creeper, which is good stuff, great stuff. If it becomes too busy for you, too thick, and it's occluding your view, hold on. Hold on. I gotta be quiet. I'm losing some stuff here through absolute negligence. Here's what happened. An egg made it into space, popped in the space between these islands, and it spreads across space and then floods onto the land. I lost every single reactor, and I got a drop in energy production as my punishment. So let's build them back. Yeah, look at this. So we've got let's put them here. 3 spores are targeting this area. I don't know if they'll overwhelm the missile defenses and if any of them will make it into space or not. Spores, these things are called spores, mainly for a legacy reason, all the way back to original Creeper World. And I still think of them that way, but they sort of look like plasma as well. I had enough missiles to take them out, so that's good. Those towers I built out here on the end got taken out as well. Anyway, the anti-creeper here, if it's too busy for you, you can flatten it. It's still there, it's just visually smashed flat against the terrain so that you can see your units more clearly. But if you like to see it, see where it's flowing, how thick it is, and it's there. The other thing that differs from earlier versions of the game are there were these contour lines. You see these lines here. You can hide those. You can hide them for the creeper. And by default now they are hidden for the anti-creeper because that makes it even busier. You can tell the contours better when they're turned on if you need to know that, but I think by default they should be off, which is the way they are. Okay, anyway, let's get a strategy going. and see if we can figure out what we can do here. Let's deploy some of these urns. So I'm building these units, and there's a thing here called urn none. If I click this, it will want an urn, and if there's one available, it will move towards it and dock with it. And this is, you know, I'm keeping my eye on this mess right here. I'm gonna lose this area again if I'm not careful. Once an urn is docked with a unit, it gets this glowing effect. This is like a power zone in Creep World 3. It gets an enhanced fire rate and an enhanced range. This guy is so far now that he can reach this island. I have 3 urns available. I could do it again. Let's take a look at this guy. Let's see if there's a better place we can park him. Maybe right here temporarily. We'll get a little bit of view over here. While he's going, let's tell him he wants an urn. Nearest urn dispatches wherever it is on the map, will make its way, dock, and upgrade. In fact, he's upgraded so much now that he can see the other island. So he's going to shoot over there. What would happen if we came here? Because here's where we need it. This is going to be my my eternal problem, right? If I don't deal with this this tiny little peninsula right here, I'm just going to lose everything. He looks like he'll do a great job of dealing with that. He's got pretty good coverage now. Okay, so all this anti-creeper is going to waste. What can we do with it? What can we do? This guy right here, let's set him to, we don't need him to dispatch even more. Let's set him to, or to be always on, let's have him dispatch AC. That means he collects it and sends it back to the factory. There he goes. He's sending blueite back to the factory. He's converting anti-creeper back into blueite, which goes to the factory. We'll fill it up, and then we can use that in other sprayers in other areas. So it's a rough way to sort of pipeline anti-creeper from one area to another. I'm going to build several of these so they can collect a lot of anti-creeper. Then I'm going to build another sprayer. How about right here? Let's see if that'll work. And let's urn him. There's something else you can do with urns. They don't have to just go into units. Where's a good spot? Where's a safe spot? Maybe over here. So the urn portal, it's a global upgrade area. So if we go there, you can install urns here and then provide upgrades, global upgrades for all units. So it's your choice whether you put urns in individual units or whether you go for global upgrades. And you can switch between the two. Of course, there's a penalty when you switch. There's some time that's lost and some efficiency that's lost. That recovers over time, of course, but you can juggle them around as necessary. So the urn portal's done. If we go there now, we can see we've got these upgrades. Energy collection, we're doing great on. We don't need to upgrade that. Mine production, I think we're doing fine on that. Build speed is nice if you've got other upgrades already. Move speed can matter sometimes when you're taking hills and stuff like that. Right now, since I'm dealing with a remote island, I think fire range might be a good upgrade. Rate would be a great one too, as long as you got the energy to deal with it. And I just don't have any free urns right now. Once it's installed in the portal, you get this efficiency that goes up over time. Once it reaches 100%, full upgrade. If you release it, the urn becomes available for another build slot or another upgrade slot or another unit. But of course, you lose your efficiency and then have to build it back up. Okay. Let's flatten the AC and let's get a plan together. Let's rotate around, get a good look at what we want to do here. First, where are all these buried urns? 1, 2, 3. There's one right here, right there, that I'm missing. Let's just get a terp. One just got uncovered. Let's move our terp over here and he'll dig him out. And we've got one free right now. So let's go back to our portal. I can find it on the map and click it, or I can just click it right here. And let's change the rate. Let's upgrade our rate. That makes each weapon more effective. So not only does it fire further, it fires faster. So an earned upgraded range mortar for both fire rate and range would be the most powerful mortar that you can have, outside of some custom scripting, of course. So he's got pretty good coverage there on that island. He's not even making a dent in this area, but we will make a dent. So let's go here, and I just realized K75 has been sending me some messages here. I'm just catching up on those right fast. Sorry about that, K75. I got 4 windows, and you are visible like I said you would be. I just wasn't looking in that corner of my screen. All right, but I am now. Let's build some mortars. We've got sprayers. Collecting. I'm not using it nearly as fast as I'm collecting it right now. Someone asked, is the UI individually scalable? There is a UI scaling option. A couple elements, or at least one element right now, is independently scalable, so you can make the radar smaller. You can hide elements. There's an option to completely hide the UI until you edge bump. And there's a slider to make it bigger or smaller. Alright, okay, so they're doing a good job clearing there, so I don't even need these guys collecting because this one is supplying all of my needs so far, but let's see if we can change that. Let's build a few more sprayers here. Cannons, we're getting some mortars. I want to invade these islands. This one in particular, I would like to eliminate this guy as an egg producer. And if I can get here, I'll get a shield bump off of this totem. And we could also be looking at some air power. Maybe I'll plan ahead. Those who've seen me play before know that I like my planes. So let's move where we want to put our runway. Let's more terraced land here. Maybe it's roughly flatter in this area. We can lose a tower or so up here. Let's do some terraforming. How about right here at this level? So let's go click our terraform button. I'm going to Control C to copy that level, and then I'm going to take out and add in this area right here maybe. Let's reposition that. And then let's go take a look at our runway. Yeah, there'll be plenty of room here. Plenty of room. About like that. We just have to condemn that that tower there. If we care about that soylent, we can sort of sneak it back in this way, maybe. Might be too close, but let's see. Let's rotate this guy around. The little arrows at the end tell the direction that the planes will take off. I'm going to go with that, and then fill that in. Now, when you get the full game, you can do some really funny stuff with planes. It's got nothing to do with beating the creeper. It's just got to do with funny stuff. Let's say you had level 1 terrain and you put a runway on it, and at the very end of the runway you put a level 20 cliff right at the end of the runway. It's funny to watch what the planes do to avoid flying into that cliff. Now, who would build a runway in a valley pointed into a side of a cliff? Well, we would, right? Because it's a video game. That's why it's fun. It's fun. They'll just go vertical in order to avoid hitting the terrain. They do a similar thing when they come up on very deep creeper. Maybe we'll fly them over here once we get some built and take a look. Let's build out some bombers. Now this is going to be energy intensive. Yeah, I knew. No, okay, that's fine. He's fine. Guy's not in the way. And we've got a lot of AC, so let's build that. If my voice suddenly goes away, it's because the dog. I'm muted because of that. Alright, so we are in the red now. Look, it's taking a lot to build all this at the same time. We're starving right now. I should have built production over here. And I need to get some mortars closer to the edge here, because I don't want to lose this stuff here. I don't want to lose this edge. And anything that were to cut this area off could be catastrophic. It could allow these nullifiers to fail, this whole area to become active again. If an egg were to land here on this flip breeder, that would not be good. I could suddenly lose this entire area. Okay, we're starting to recover energy-wise now on our curve. It's just a stream of resources flying in here. These units are slaved off of the runway, so it is possible for the runway to get destroyed and these units to remain, and then you can replace the runway and they'll hook up to it automatically. But it acts as the packet routing proxy for anything that's connected to it. Alright, she's live. They're all live now. Let's go here and build some more of these guys. O rotates. That's the default key binding. If the unit's not square, you may want to rotate it, and O will let you do that. Let's, for grins, you know, if I'm playing the game seriously, I would attack this island. Well, yeah, let's play the game seriously. Let's just try that instead of goofing around. I'll goof around on this after I take that island. Let's build a pylon here. You can see that's going to reach. I don't even need air support for this. I can just sneak them on in over here. But we're going to use the what doctrine was it? Overwhelming force. Let's provide complete air coverage here. And let's saturate the area with anti-creeper. Let's get our pylon built while our air force takes off. Bombers can fly combat air patrol, and they're needed because that stash just went off. Go free view so we can see them coming in. When bombers are told to bomb a single location, let's pause here. Let's go unflatten the AC. They will drop their entire load of anti-creeper in one big drop. If instead, let's pick this guy. If I click and drag, then he will line up with that and then drop a line of anti-creeper. So if you want to lay down a line that's defensive in front of other units, or if you want to saturate an area, those are two ways you can do it. Alright, let's flatten our AC out again. We just waltzed right in there and dominated that area. There's some resistance here, and my ultimate goal is to get him nullified. So we'll bring in some more weapons. You know, there is a little urn over here. There's one here I'm not using. We could upgrade our production, but we're doing fine. I could give myself a little more of a buffer with energy collection, but I don't really need it right now. So let's just put it on a mortar that he can start hitting these areas. While I'm at it, I'll show you the Let's select all of them. Tell them to fly here and bomb that island. You'll see, in order to desperately try to stay out of the creeper, it goes as just about as vertical as it can. He clips a little bit at the end, but did a good job avoiding it. And they'll drop from high altitude, and they'll fly over here, and they VTOL or vertical or landing. No or, no TO, just vertical landing. So they'll bomb that. They'll take that guy down. Saturation level on that island. It could be even become a potential staging area, although it's got an emitter on it, so probably not. This guy could. We could use him for staging. But before I do any of that, let's go in here. Will it reach? It will. Look at that. I just need to make sure we have sufficient firepower dropping in on it. Okay. We get that nullifier built, we'll be in excellent shape because no more eggs, no more spores from him. But it's main island over here that we're ultimately worried about. How are we doing on the, oh, there's just tons of anti-creeper over here. Let's copy him. I can point at a unit and press tab, and it will copy build that unit. It keeps its settings as well. So this, since I copied one that was set to dispatch, these will be set to dispatch. Alright, our earned mortar's doing a good job here. We're about to get nullification. This shield around this totem is providing some excellent defense as well. So, how are we going to take this island? That would be there's a few different ways. One would be kind of a classic invasion. And some maps will be this way. You won't have access to the stuff in the specials menu, which means you'll have to do it World War II style. You'll need to build a lot of stuff, and porters, supply, drones, and all that sort of stuff, and then do a beachlet, soften it up as much as possible, and then drop in. If you have access to more exotic weapons like rockets, then you can clear out an area from orbit and then send in a landing force. A traditional air force can also do a lot of damage in an area. But if you also, potentially, if you have access to these specials, then you have these platforms that can be built in space. They allow you to work off the coast. They require a lot of lifting to build. 100 lifting, that's this green stuff, comes from the green R, the green resource. And they are vulnerable to eggs and things that may pop in the void. So it can be risky because it takes a while to get them built, but it can provide an offshore way of bombarding. If the map maker doesn't want that, then the map maker can place mesh here, and platforms cannot be placed in mesh. That was a change just since yesterday. Even if the mesh isn't built, if it's inactive, mesh can be used to exclude where platforms go. Okay, so we don't need to keep flying patrol here. Let's see what would happen if we start to saturation bomb right here. Give it everything we got. Let's just see what the results are. Look at that anti-creeper bombers. They're going to create an opportunity there. Now remember, this is a Chronon mission. It's not meant to be just a desperate struggle for life. It's meant to be a more casual mission, and I'm taking a lot longer to play this than some folks might, because I'm running my mouth a lot. But some folks like to play like this too. They just like to sit back and enjoy it a little bit, try out a strategy. This looks like it would work. I could probably get a pylon over there, get some units, get the area defended, built all these guys over here. I don't need these guys here anymore. So let's see if we can sneak some stuff on this, on the edge of this island, this opportunity that's opened up. That's a monstrous hill to climb, isn't it? I mean, eggs and everything up there. These mortars are going to help, and the Air Force is really helping. Let's try this. Let's select all these, and I'm going to create a squad so I can recall that more easily if I need to, and then I'm going to send them all here. Let's have them drop their anti-creeper on top of the hill. We can also select these, create a squad, and let's send them to bomb right on top of the hill. They'll circle bomb in this area. You can do the same thing. You can tell them to bomb in the line, just like you can the anti-creeper bombers. Oh my. Okay, we're fine there. That's a sneaky little place, isn't it? I wonder if it'd be possible to operate in this area. It just sort of depends on the... That is a terrible place to try to work between two emitters. I've never tried that. What would happen? Is there a way to sneak in there? Is that possible? I don't know. The timing is right, maybe. That spot right there. Oh, look at that egg. It's a terrible spot for an egg. It's too tight. Spray her down. Come on, make it. Just get built. If while it's building, it's completely vulnerable. If it gets grazed by a creeper, it blows up. But once built, it has health, and it can tolerate a little bit. And she just got built. I might pull this off. About to lose that cannon. Back him up. Alright, bombers, do your job. Look at that. Double kill. The eggs that were underneath are detonating. That's what that last gasp was. Or gasps. There's several eggs. Eggs go off when they're dry, when they're no longer in creeper. So don't get too anxious to leave an area. Not until the egg vengeance is over. There's another one there. We just got a totem activation and a reclaim. Well, the totem earlier and reclaim. All right, we're about there. At any point we can leave. These objectives are set to any. So that's another easing factor. Let people bug out early or let people fight to the bitter end. You don't have to go nullify all the enemies unless you want that objective. Any of these would work. They're separate play log tables for each. Okie doke. How would I get that guy? This is Egg City over here. Let's pause. Let's select squad. Bombing that island. Select squad, and where do we want to go? We want to detonate all these eggs, so this general area should be fine. Let's get some guys in range here. They get their mortar coverage. Our upgraded mortar. Can probably park someplace, any place really. He can shoot up and over this mesa. Okay, I see we are at we're at about 1,500 viewers plus. That's more than I expected. I was hoping to get at least 1,000, so we're doing pretty good. That means there's enough people listening that I can talk a little bit about the release date, and I will update this on Steam later. So first up, release dates are not they're goals. It's an aspiration. It's when I want to do something. It's not a contract. It can't be, especially for an indie developer. Well, it's not true for AAA either, but I speak only for myself. People who know me know that I'm generally hesitant to talk about specific dates, and I won't talk about a specific date, but I will talk with more specificity than I have. I've committed to by end of Q2 next year. I think that was a generous amount of time. So what I would like to announce today is that I'm going to attempt to get the game done before the end of this year, so December. As I said, I'm not going to put a specific number on that. I'm not going to say December whatever, just December. I want to give myself an opportunity to fix any last minute problems, etc. And if I don't make it in December, don't get the pitchforks and come after me. It will be for a very good reason that I don't make it in December if I don't. But that's my goal. That's what I'm aiming for, and I'm working really hard to try to make that happy, so that everybody can play this over Christmas break and vacation. Because God knows we need something this year to enjoy. I do. So hopefully it'll be a Christmas present for you. It'll be a Christmas present for me. To see other people get to enjoy the full game. That's the goal. That's what I'm going to shoot for. I'm going to work really hard between now and then to try to make it happen. Will it be released? Will it be early access? I don't know. I don't know what the label will be. I'm not sure it matters that much. It will be as complete as I can make it in that time frame. It will not be finished, as in I'm not going to walk away from the game and say, well, that's that, I'm done, I'm moving on. That won't happen for many months until after the game is released, because I know that people who like to make maps are going to have a lot to say about some of the stuff they want in RPL and some of the stuff that's there and not there, and I want to continue to enhance that. That's a more lengthy activity, though it can take months, and I don't want to delay the release of the general game with everything that it's got, to design APIs that'll get used in 2 maps, something like that. Some of the APIs, though, I can tell you just from experience in previous games, they will get used in maps in ways that I never thought of, that nobody has thought of yet, but they will be a whole series of really cool maps and with new functionality. And I'm looking forward to that. Oh, look at me. I'm just getting reckless here. Let's move over. Let's get this guy capped, get this mission done, right? Those eggs are a little bit of a problem there. See if we can get some things in. I just happen to have an Air Force here. What am I doing? Bombers to the rescue, anti-creeper bombers, saturate the area, nullifier, get her done. Egg wrath, look at this, take it out. Ah, come on. Okay. Oh, you little thing. I almost need to nullify him before I do him, based on, maybe we can do it over here. Maybe we can do our tower over here, out of range of any eggs that pop here. What's going on? Oh, we lost, we were hooked up to a pylon, so we lost connectivity here. Well, this is my own fault. Nobody to blame but me. Not paying attention. Let's see if we can get her all done. Oh, you know what? I need to take that thing out in order to get this enemy nullification victory that I've been working so hard towards. Just sitting here. We really only need 2 beacons. They can leapfrog each other. This guy's going to be a bit of a challenge. Nullified, almost nullified. Nullified. So that's number 9 and that's number 10. Let's take the island out. While that is building, let's move ahead. Beacon. Nice. Now where? That might go there. And where will that go? Sort of like that, maybe? Will that do it? I don't know. I'm completely relying on the Air Force to keep that suppressed. It is only one emitter, and it's only a 40. So, and the terrain's going to work to my advantage a little bit, and that's the high ground right here. And I've got anti-creeper just saturating the area. Just saturating the area. Once he's done though, for sure, they're all going to come over here. Continue forward, because they just need to, there's no source over here other than eggs. I just need to clear this off, land on the island, get him nullified, and off we go. Okay. Over here, what do we have? Eggs, waiting for a little vengeance, but I can deal with them. Shouldn't be too bad of a problem. Flatten it down, nullified. Now, select all of them, send them here. All you guys, same thing. Once we get some clear area, I should be able to build here. Of course, I need to wait for those eggs to do their business. We can do this. Pull some mortars in range. And the back half is taken out by this denier, but it's not a problem because this area right here is being uncovered by these beacons. These beacons are very fragile, and they don't remove the denied area while they're moving. So you often see them in pairs. They can also land in the void. they're very vulnerable when they're in the void. If an egg pops, if a spore hits, they get grazed by creeper, they're gone. You can create a really bad situation where if you're working in a denied area and you lose the beacon, the whole area reverts back to the shadow, which means no energy flows. So you can lose everything just like that if you lose the beacon. So, nullifier. Get in there, and no more room anywhere on top. I didn't... Well, there's a spot right there. Don't think I need it. Alright, there she goes. Let's go 4x. Normalize our view. That should be the last. There we go. Total victory, all 3 objectives. You can rift jump and submit information here. Me and K75 are the only ones who play on these missions in the full build right now. That will change soon though. You can see I've got my wow, it took quite some time there to get total nullification, 42 minutes. Alright, so I can check that off my list today. I played today's Chronom, all 3 objectives. It keeps the last several days for you, so if you miss a day you can go back, but there'll be a fresh one for you every day. If you want more than that, there is the Mark V, where you can come in and let's say you like very large maps with insane enemies, aggressive eggs, and plenty of resources, just lots of everything. You can type something in here, random words, whatever you'd like. That's the seed for the random number generator. Oh, that one looks weird. Let's see what happens. Cake in May. I'm not going to play this. This is a monstrous map. That's pretty large. You're like, oh, well, you can still see it. It's not that big. Yeah, let's put something on here for scale. I don't even know where. Oh, there's an air sac cauldron. Model to be redone, by the way, but nice big starting area. You can tell it's a big area because you can see just how small your lab is. I mean, there's just... You'll need the energy, but you can tell if we get down at the scale of the lab, stuff's way over there. Let's pause it here and let's get a better view about like that. Anytime you're in a map, any map, you can bring up the editor. You could think of it as a sandbox, editor, whatever. Map makers who want to share their maps, of course, that's what they'll use to make a map. But while you're in a mission, if you're like, you know what, this would be so much harder or easier if there was something added or missing, then go right ahead and do it. Now, if you do that in a story mission, you're not going to be able to post to the play log because we want those play logs to be vanilla missions. But if you don't care about that, and a lot of times you don't, you just want to have fun, you just want to do what you want to do, then bring up the editor, and there's a key binding for that right now by default. It's Shift-D, brings up my editor button, and you can jump right into it. And you can say, well, let's go back to normalized view here, and you can say, all right, it's connected. Maybe I want a land bridge right here. So put one there. Maybe you want this to have a land bridge. So you could get height and draw a land bridge like that. Now a creeper will flow over here, get to that flip breeder, and it becomes an active source. If you don't want that, you just want a spore or something else to seed it, that's fine too. Let's say that you're like, this is cool and all, but let's change the feel. You can go into the theme editor. First thing you can do is you can pick a background. None is space, or you can pick one of these pre-built planets. I like this one. Number 18 is one of my more favorite of the backgrounds. So the game rules are the same. This is just a visual difference. Just it might fit the theme of your story more, or you might just like it this way. You can also go into the theme editor, and all these textures are the default set, and there's some that are built in here, some themes that are built in. There'll be plenty more by the time I'm done with the story missions. There's just a few samples here right now. If you're working on a map and you're like, I need to get everything just right, I just want it to be square and everything, you can switch to grid world, and the one by one grid system that's laid out, so you can see exactly where everything will be. Some people might like to play that way, so that theme is there. Some of the other built-in ones, they just change the general look. If you go into the theme editor, though, you can say, you know what, this is cool, but you know what, this orange is a little bright for me. Just click the terrain. Actually, hold on. Let's see if we can get back to that. This might be a bug right here where after I've set the theme, it doesn't load it into the theme editor. Let's see. This is terrain 9. Yeah, it is. I can tell that's a different. It's a different theme tile. So let's just do it this way. Let's ignore that bug for a second, and let's just randomize the terrain right here and start over. You're like, this is cool, but this right here is too bright. Click it. You're on the texture right here, and then you can change the texture. That's it right there. Like, yeah, I like the texture, but it's too bright. Well, there's light that's shining on the texture. So imagine a colored something or another, and this is how bright the light is. Now you can modify the intensity. We could say 0.5, drop it down. We could go 2, crank it way up into the HDR range so it blooms. Whatever the intensity is, it gets multiplied by whatever the light is. So the light, you can change the color, so you can tweak the color values this way. Black is black, it doesn't matter if it's zeros. So 2 times 0 is 0, so it doesn't matter what the intensity is if the color's black. But up here is full red, right? FF, which is full red and no green and no blue, and multiplied by 2, so it's twice red brightness. If we go 3, it's glowing so much it's illuminating the nearby area. So you can make some wicked looking maps with some effects like this. And from scripting, you might even change these values so that it pulses or glows over time or reacts to something that has happened during the mission. So if we keep going, it just keeps blowing out. There's no real limit on how high the number can go. It can get to extreme neon levels, which is neat. If you want to make a cool looking screenshot that gets people's attention, like a river of lava or something like that. Let's go back to normalize our view. Pick that as something more reasonable, something, in the color range here or so, something like that. Now there's something else you can do to the terrain. You look at it, you're like, let's take a nice big area. This area right here sort of looks like sand. So here you go, it's sand, but you say, I like the look, but it's just a little too noisy, just a little bit too noisy. Let me show you some features around that. First, remember, if I click it, you'll see it's this texture right here. Pointing at it right here, and the preview shows in this area. That doesn't look like the texture. These overlapping tile type things. So how did that get turned into that? There's this magic shader technology in here called stochastic detiling that I worked a long time on. Too long for what it does. that uses some brand new stuff right out of Unity research, and it recombines the texture in such a way that it doesn't tile. Let me show you what I mean. So let's pick something that really tiles, like a checkerboard. Doesn't look like a checkerboard, but if you turn off detile and then let's scale it up, you can see that's definitely a checkerboard. Click detile, it gets all scrambled up. So why does this matter? Sometimes you want a pattern. It's exactly what you want. You want to see a repeating pattern. You want it to look like bricks. You want it to look like cobblestone or whatever. Other times you don't. Now what's interesting is that this still sort of looks like bricks, but they're all kind of jumbled up. Sometimes you see, let's see if we can find one. Let's turn the scale down. Some people are more sensitive to this than the others, but you see this pattern, you see how it repeats. You can tell it's the same texture repeated over and over again. Some textures it's worse than others. Yeah, here's one you can see like that. Maybe that's what you want, but if you don't, that's what detiling does. It removes that visual pattern. The scaling though can be used. You can take the scaling all the way down. It basically turns it smooth. Let's zoom way down here. It's still got a grain to it, but it's really small, so from most viewing distances, it's effectively a solid color. Now you say to yourself, why it doesn't look flat to me? That's because of these surface normals. We click that, we go here, there's an amount for the normal. Normal is just how light bounces off a surface. So you can change that, you can change the texture, and we can change the scale, make it huge or small like that, and then we can just show what I'm talking about here. If I pick a checkerboard, that becomes how the light bounces off the surface. Smooth, rolling, dunes, subdue it a little bit. So you can change the look of a texture by adding different normals. You can of course make the normal be the same as the surface texture and get interesting effects that way as well. Okay, anyway, I could, as you can probably tell, I could beat this to death. Just a couple last things. There's cliff textures and normals. What goes on the cliffs? There's overlays so that you can load an image and stick it over on the map. Interesting effects with that. And then of course you can load up your own custom textures and put there. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go menu, exit, confirm. The colonies, as some of you have seen already, it's where online maps will go. So Creeper World games have a very long lifetime after their initial release. Something I'm pleased with, that they don't just get released and then 6 months later you missed it and everybody's on to the next game. 6 months, it's really just catching its wind. It's really cool maps are starting to come out. So there will be, I hope, thousands of maps here made by the community, some by me, some by almost all by others. Very neat maps, custom units, custom graphics, custom game modes. The way this works is you click, you see, you can tag them now. You can say you like the map, give it a thumbs up, and browse by various criteria. Check for the latest maps, etc. So I hope that's going to be a cool system. It's very similar to the system in earlier games. It's just got a tagging system now and a revamped way of voting. So the mission editor, this is where I make the story maps. So I'll show you how this works. We'll make and play something real fast. Let's call this stream map. Let's make it average size. You can import from a Creeper World 3 map, by the way. If you've got one you're like, I really like those islands and all that, you can import it and it will create the terrain based on that for you. A new map comes up flat and blank like this. Here's a quick way to make a map. Go here and there's a magic button called Fractal Law. Press that and you have a completely random map with mesas and everything. And you can, at that point, click on units and say, let's see, the bad guys can be over here. Some emitters, let's put a spore launcher or two, put a skimmer factory back here, a blob nest, to rotate, remember, put one there. And yeah, it's enough for the bad guys. Then you're like, well, the player needs some objectives and some resources. Let's put the red on there. Let's stick a mother here. We need some victory objectives. How about a totem? Remember, there can be multiple objectives, right? So let's make the totems a little easier. Let's put a totem here and here, here. These will be the easier ones, and that one will be a little bit harder to get to. Not much, but a little bit. Go to the game menu, and we can say, what do we want our objectives to be? We've added totems, so we've already got that. We can say nullification is a good objective. Hold, get to that in a minute. Reclaim requires delegate. Let's go ahead and apply here. So now we have two objectives: nullify enemies and activate totems. And delegate, if we want reclaim, we just add the delegate. It's visual only right now, but it won't be that way through the entire story. You'll see. So let's just put it right here. As soon as you add the delegate, then the reclaim objective comes up. Any objective works right now, but let's say that we wanted one of those to be required. Let's go to game, and let's say that reclaim is required. No, let's say totems are required. That's sort of more standard. Now totems is required, and the other two are optional. Let's say you're making a story. You put yourself an info cache on a map, and let's put it here. You want to make sure that you don't leave the mission without collecting it. So let's go here, and let's go objective collect, required. Now collect items, 0 of 1. It's that guy right there. And let's say when you pick it up, you would like to show a message, and you want to pause the game. You can, there's options here for that. You can do an ADA message or a game message. You can what to say on the button. Oh wow. Message channel is used by scripting. You can put a name here for a message channel, and then in any script who's registered for messages on that channel will get invoked. We'll get its message handler invoked whenever you pick that up. That'll come later for all the RPL people. There's a whole messaging system built in now. So anyway, if I do that right fast, I don't have any messages to find. So let's go to the text, edit messages, add a message, call this info cache, create, add a text blob, edit, lorem ipsum, it's just fine. And there it is, something called info cache is the message. If I come back here, message to show, info cache. Do it as a game message or as an ADA. ADA message is this pop-up thing here, usually at the beginning of a mission, and a game message is one that pops up on top. Okay, so, and then what you would do is you would go to menu, save load, save a copy. You're in the editor, that's why we get this menu here. Finalizing is when you're done, ready to upload it. Then you would probably play test it a little bit, and you'd say, well, let's make sure what happens when we collect that guy. Small rule change, consistent with earlier games. You cannot collect a info cache or a collectible with just the lab now. So he's collected, and so that picked up. It didn't show the game message because I had the setting wrong on it. But I'm not gonna sit here and debug it in front of the world. People don't care. So, but what I would have done, of course, is I'm like, oh, there's a problem there. Let's go save load. Let's load the map back because I had saved it and it's all good there. And then I'd come to editor, I'd go here, I'd click, and I never hit apply afterwards. I just did what I said I wasn't going to do. But anyway, more more important things to show. Let's go back and look at, this was an interesting map, but it looks like a lot of the others. So what would have happened if we wanted something different, very different? String map 2, average create. So instead of hitting that fractal all, you can, of course, if you prefer, you can manually draw on the terrain. You can hold down Control and it will lock you into a direction. So I could be sloppy. If I want to draw a horizontal line, click, hold Control, and then start drawing. But even if I dip and rise, it's still going to draw a horizontal line. You can, so that's painting, and you can pick the level here. And to show you the maximum terrain height difference here, all the way down to level 1. So that's the maximum delta on the terrain. Somebody asked once upon a time, like an hour or two ago, what ambient occlusion was. You see how it looks darker right here? It's occluding the ambient light. That's essentially what that is. So if we go here, we go performance, and we turn off ambient occlusion. Still looks fine, right? It just looks like it's got more depth to it when you do that ambient occlusion. That's what the ambient does. At the expense of a little more GPU time, it adds that depth to it. That beautify terrain, by the way, undoes that detiling algorithm. It's expensive on older integrated GPUs. That's what beautify terrain does. So if somebody's turned that off, then they don't get that magic detiling that I showed you a little bit ago. High FPS just means 60 FPS. Bloom, that red that I showed you earlier, that glowed all over the place, that's what the bloom effect does. If there's nothing on the screen in the HDR range, it doesn't have an effect. Shadows are what you think. See that little shadow right there? Shadows are gone. Anti-aliasing smooths. If you've got a nice GPU, like a 10 series, NVIDIA or higher, anything made in the last 5 years that's not integrated, basically, then you just want to come in here and do max visuals, and you're good to go. If you've got older integrated stuff and you're worried and your frame rate's dropping, just click max performance and it will turn a bunch of stuff off for you. Drop it all the way down and start from there and then add things back. So I'm going max visuals. While you're editing the map, by the way, let's say you're drawing, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't want that terrain there. Just hit Control Z. Every map edit is stored in an undo buffer. So if you're tweaking something and don't like it, you can hit Control Z. That applies to terrain and specials and terrain editing. It doesn't apply to every unit setting. It's the terrain itself. Speaking of other things, this is where all the specials are. So special terrain type, like resource area. What else do we have? Creeper breeder. You don't like seeing that on a map. It's like basically if you do this, let's go back to creeper breeder. Put it like that. That's a little bigger, a little bit bigger. Like so, and then drop the size down. Let's go square. Let's go. And then you get the idea here. I won't take pains, but you get the idea. You just made yourself a super weapon for the creeper. You just made yourself a nexus and put yourself a custom unit in the middle, bulbs, and sits there and bounces up and down. And let's seed it with a little bit of creeper. Here, I'll show you what I mean. You just made yourself a nexus from Creeper World 1. And enjoy. You can come to the breeder settings right here. Watch this. And it's got a duty cycle on and off. This is in frames. There's 30 per second for the physics engine. So 150 frames on and then 750 off. Peak up to 20. So what would happen if you said that it's only off for 150? So it's a 50% duty cycle. On, off, on, off. So it's going to emit even more. And you're going to need some mighty weapons to deal with that. I mean, look at it. It's not even having a chance to drop before it emits again. So let's turn that back. So say 750. But you're just making a map. You're testing, right? So you're like, okay, delete all creeper. Get rid of it. It's gone. It's breeder, so it needs something to seed it. If you want to know what the smallest amount of seed could be, you could come here. You could put just a single dot right in the middle, 10 high, and then wait for the breed cycle to kick in. Wait for that 750 to go away. For the 150 to kick in. There it goes. So yeah, there's your homemade Nexus. Well, what about the equivalent for anti-creeper? Well, there is. Let's make our brush size bigger. There's anti-creeper breeder right here. Same thing. Let's deposit a little bit of anti-creeper on it. It's got its own slot. You can change the duty cycle on it, so it's more or less aggressive. And once it breeds, we'll see it spike up. There it goes. And on this map, that would make a big difference. You've got an unstoppable asterisk of goo over here and a snake of anti-creeper. And then, of course, for those who've seen before, there is something in between. There is this flip breeder. That does either. It's basically either. Whatever's on it, it will breed, whether it be creeper or anti-creeper. That I like a lot because it becomes a strategic objective on a map. It hurts you right up until when it becomes your ally. So if you put, let's see, a little creeper right here. Well, that's anti-creeper. Hold on. And then a little creeper right here. Let's crank our speed a little bit. Then you get that deal. May the best creeper win. Besides breeding, there is absorber terrain. This one's neat. Most people haven't seen this one yet. Whoops, that's we don't need creeper, we need specials. We need absorber terrain, and you know what? That's the wrong texture. I'll make a note for myself and fix that, but it's okay. Let's build a little creeper here now. Absorber terrain does exactly what it says. It absorbs creeper. So you can see it's sapping away the creeper. Now there's so much it's flowing over. But it's taking it. And you can edit that slot and you can control the rate. So 0.6, what if that was instead 2? It's more aggressive then. So you can make it really weak and put a big field of it. So a small amount of creeper won't make it, but a big wave will wash over it and reach the other side. You can do some really neat, subtle effects in maps with it. Or you can set it to something really high, at which point it becomes a black hole for creeper. And delete all. It also affects anti-creeper. It's a black hole. It doesn't discriminate. Mesh. A lot of you are familiar with. It's digitalis from Creeper World 3, basically. It's this stuff here. When you put a unit on it, like an emitter, it will grow out from there. Let's go to that emitter, set him to 0 output. Go back to our terrain, delete, and it grows, it turns this blue color. I just realized my textures are all off by 1. I need to fix all that. These are the wrong textures for the wrong materials here, but easily fixable. Let's unpause again, and then you'll see it withers since there's nothing supporting it. The emitter is no longer there supporting it. I can hold Control click to drag a unit in the editor, and you can see it's growing out again. Shattered land, which is decayable land, it's going to get a rename. That just means that whatever this is will decay on contact with the creeper over time. You can see it melts the terrain. So you can have terrain, and I've got it set to decay all the way down to void, which means it will cut itself off. Sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you do. You want it to create its own island. So I could come back there. I could go level 1. I could put it back. It can flow, and I've told it to only decay down to level 1. So that's what it'll do. Contaminant is this ugly stuff here. It prevents you from landing on it. Creeper can flow over it, anti-creeper can flow over it, but you can't land units on it. The only way to deal with it is with a terp. You can terp it away. Now in the editor, you can put a unit down and then point at it and hit key combo, shift in, and it will instantly build the unit. Let's go there, let's build him, let's give ourselves some an ultra cap comes loaded with energy. Let's drop that down, get this guy built, and you can say terraform decontaminate that area right there, and he will remove it, and then you can work there. So sometimes there's an island, it's radioactive, it's covered with contaminant. You can't do a beach landing until you get near it with a terp in order to remove the contaminant, and even then you can only do it when it's free of creeper. So it takes a coordinated strike from different units, platforms, rockets, air forces in order to soften the beach, to get the area to be able to take it. Anyway, almost done here. Crimsonator, the most evil of all terrain, little purple terrain, does this. So when there's creeper on it, it turns purple. It turns it into crimson creeper. Crimson creeper is like 5 times as hard to kill as the regular stuff. So mortars will just plop in it, and they are like 1/5 as effective. Very deadly. It tends to move in the direction that the creeper is flowing. It has a finite lifetime though, so it will wither over time. It essentially evaporates. What it means is that it will tend to spread out in an otherwise even area, but as you start to attack an area, you tend to create a gradient for flow in the creeper, and it tends to flow in that direction. So if you need a maze solved and you're too lazy to trace it yourself, this will do it for you. Build a maze, put some ink in the water, and then the water that will flow out and the ink will trace the maze for you. So nature / simulated nature will solve the problem for you. And so those are the terrain types. There is eco here. Everybody loves trees, right? Or cacti, or alien plants. This stuff gives you an energy bonus when you soylent the area, when you build a tower nearby. It's destroyed by a creeper, but it can be rebuilt. They will respawn when if you soylent the area. If you want them all dead to start with, you can do that. Then they will only come back when you build a tower nearby, and he charges, of course. Then they start to spawn over time. You get that little bonus of energy from them. That can be a difference in some maps. It can be an interestingly important difference. Now this high density stuff, maybe you don't want that. So let's say you go here and you make your brush size big. Let's make it round. Let's say I just wanted to paint some over here. If you do it, then oh, that's too much, right? Let's shift click to get rid of it. Coverage, just drop your coverage down to something small and click. It will just randomly deposit, in this case 9% of the area. Now, I've got it set that each time you click it changes the layout. So if you don't like a particular random layout, just keep clicking. And the only reason it's doing that is because I have this auto delete checked. If you uncheck that, each time you click it will put 9% down. So you can kind of paint your trees that way, get some life down, make the map look more interesting, give the player a bonus. When you are editing a map, there's also these options here. By default, none of them are checked. You go here, you go to a level, you select a brush size. By the way, coverage works for terrain too. So if you want to make some areas that look eroded like that, you can. Let's go back to 100%. Well, let's leave it at around 50%. If you flood an area, it's essentially a flood fill. If you have that checked, let's make our brush smaller. I go here, it will flood fill whatever area. Now, flood fill, if I click here, it's connected to everything, so it just did the entire level 1 map. Remember, Control Z to undo. Let's do this. Set height 1, coverage 100%. Whoops, still had flood set. So let's uncheck him. Let's cut a section off right here. You can do flood here. Stopped at the void, of course, but if you do it again, it's just going to do the little sections in between, right? Flood to void does the flood fill, but is only stopped by the void, so you can keep filling the entire area that way. Level means that level for the entire map, wherever it is, so it doesn't have to do flood fill. It just looks at whatever level you click on, does it for the whole map. All, of course, it's the entire map. Raise everything up, lower everything down, just every level up by 1. By the way, if you do that, it automatically moves the units with it. You can melt the terrain, smooth it down, apply a blowtorch to everything to kind of melt it down. And you can load an image, and there's a whole world there. I know I've probably bored you to death with these map editing things as is, but there's a whole world of things you can do for importing. There's these tools here too, other than setting. You can paint smooth, you can put yourself down a mesa, give yourself a big brush like this, go to height and make yourself a gigantic mesa just like that. It's got how many levels and the height. You can individually fractal an area as well. So let's not do level, let's just do this. So you can start to fractal out an area. Let's undo that and go back 100% coverage here. So you can see you can paint a piece of a fractal area. Change the random seed. And you can draw. Let's makes the effect a little more visible here. You can just paint to reveal the fractal area sort of underneath whatever the fractal equations say. You can change the random seed here at any point to get something different. That worked good in combination with flood fill sometimes. So let's go flood to void fractal. So you can get just a piece of a fractal island like that. So we're starting to accidentally make a map here. Didn't even mean to. It's a terribly nightmarish monster over here, but we could put some resources and probably play it. We just come on in here and let's give it a background. Come to the units. Now with my painting, one of the units is there, but he got buried. You can reposition units on terrain. It will pop everything back up. Let's move him over here. Control click to move our emitter right there. This is just very, very, very bad stuff. So let's go to our creeper breeder, edit the slot. Let's go a rate of 6, max of 5. Let's at least limit the height and make it a little less aggressive because it's terrible. Objectives. Let's add, sure, we'll stick a delegate over here. That. Oh, I'm running the game. Great. Yeah, I forgot that I was completely running while I was simulating everything. I should be able to come in and don't have all these things completely exposed yet. Reset the specials. Yeah, I don't have them in this build yet to completely reset everything. But who cares? We're just goofing around, right? Finalizing, I know, did do a lot of the reset. So if I go there and finalize, oh yeah, I need a title. Apply, finalize, and exit. And then if I went to play the map, the time and everything's reset. The objective isn't. That needs to be taken care of. But I would want to go back and edit and add stuff because I've already got the objective. But maybe we don't care, right? Maybe we just want to see what happens. This is what you would do during playtesting anyway. I've given myself no resources other than energy. This guy, oh, I made it really easy on myself. I forgot I turned him to 0. So this would be a really easy map, right? All I got to do is that and nullify him, and there. So let's back up. Not a problem. We'll come edit. We will change him to be a 40 standard unit. We will do one more thing. Well, a couple maybe. Let's put an air sac cauldron right in the middle of evil land, and let's give ourselves some red iron and a mother, an objective that we don't already have, and energy we should be okay on. Let's sprinkle some urns around. I'll leave them unburied, that's fine. Blue-ite crystal, that makes blue-ite, can be used for anti-creeper as well. And I wonder if it can rush over here and secure that area. I wonder. This guy we don't need. I don't need a pre-built tower there to blow up. And I know we'll need snipers to defend against him. We'll need red on for shooting things down. Might not hurt to give another red on here. Okay. To bury those urns, all I'd have to do is select one and hit the key combo to select all, and then click a bury button. But I wanted these exposed here. Okay, fine. We'll do it that way. I have no idea really how terrible this will be. Our pseudo nexus is not active yet, but it will be. And then I remember we put this crimson here. I put the crimson there, and that is not good. I just wonder if I can keep this area over here once it goes live. Snipers I don't need immediately. I probably shouldn't build them right now, but the factory I do. Snipers are for this air sac cauldron, and he's a ways out, right? He's eight and a half. It's time. Probably want to try to take this ridge. This is a big area to defend. Oh, you know what? This won't do me any good if I don't put any anti-creeper on it. That was a command error. Gosh, that was a big mistake. Big mistake. Snipers. I'm also going to need, when they launch, I will need particular on this hill here. Definitely don't need it anytime soon, but might as well grab it. We're going to have a problem over here. How does this look? You know what? I I really clipped it when I clipped it down to 5, so I made this much more manageable. I don't know how it will be once I get there, but in terms of a immediate threat on the map, it's not terrible. There's another pocket of breeder creeper here, though. Okay. I think this hill's a good place to advance and hold. And I have another urn I can deploy. Yeah, wow. A lot of anti-creeper. And I'm going to get another bonus if I can secure the this flip area here. There, that's what I want to see right there. I want to be on that area. Now the absorber terrain that I put here that I made super duper absorbent is a dead end for everything, right? So that's to my advantage, but it won't do a lot of good because I can't push into this area here with anti-creeper. Not significantly anyway. Here at the end maybe a little bit, but and around here. Gosh, I almost wonder if the map is, if this is so powerful at this point, if it would actually overcome it on its own. That's how it goes with maps. Sometimes you don't know until you start playtesting a little bit. And you're like, oh, that's a little too easy. Or it's just right. In this case, this being weakened made a big difference. I don't think this absorber terrain needs to be as mega absorbent as it is. I like the idea of a large area that emits creeper, though. It essentially turns the terrain into a giant emitter, and you have to nullify it by taking the terrain over time. Let's get on in there. Our one objective remaining is this, and we need lifting for it, and we've got plenty. So we're good on that. So much, so good that let's build 4 rockets. Let's build 5 rockets. Getting confident now. Shield uses ARG, which we have plenty of. You know, shields don't get a lot of love. Let's build one. Generally, it's almost always better to spend your energy blowing up the creeper rather than just pushing it around. But they have their place. Oh, okay, yes. Air sac. I do not have nearly enough snipers to protect critical infrastructure. What happened here? Oh, nothing. I just never built any soylent towers up here. Our old friend, the air sac. Those have been around for a while. They saw it a long time ago, early in development. And it's still around. Here we go. He flies around and he carries these chains of these orbs. Each carries creeper. He grows them. He gets in an area. He will drop them. If he gets too damaged, he will throw them and then retreat. And he's about to get damaged, yes. And he tossed what he had. Ha! Now you know why I put those missile launchers on that hill. It's a fantastic place to put missile launchers when there's an air sac. You want the high ground, because if he happens to wander in that area, those missile launchers, he won't get out of their maximum altitude range as easily because they're on top of a giant mountain. This one's 18 tall. Had he decided to come this way, any missile defenses in this area would have had a harder time reaching him for most of his travel path. But he went this way, which was exactly where I needed him to go in order to take out. In fact, it was a little bit close. It took a reload in order to take him out. Should build more missile defenses there. There's a little bit of a plateau here I could take advantage of. Not much, but because it will return in another 3 minutes. There's that shield doing his shield thing, helping squish the output of this breeder terrain. This isn't flip, remember, this is just breeder. The only way to deal with it is to clear it. See if we can do that. That shield can kind of help keep it that way. Yeah, the anti-creeper is doing a lot of my work for me. Our rockets are charging. Oh, wow. Wow, they need 1,000 liftic for 5 of them. That's a big ask. Let's turn 2 of them off. Maybe we'll get the other 3 built. You know, this one thing this absorber area does provide is a nice bridge, or a nice barrier, I should say. I can park units on one side and lob shots at the other. Yeah, we are flat out of liftic. I don't know what a green iron refinery is. He's picking up the crystals that he can, but maybe these 3 will get done. Yeah, look at that. Could just waltz in there. Yeah, so a redo on this map would be to make the creeper stronger. Maybe break it up with some void areas. Add some other objectives, because the map's a little large for what you need to do right now. So I'd take some land out maybe. We break it up into 2 islands with some bridges to fight across. I might add something like early. I would add like a hold base here and there. These relate to the game objective for hold. Meaning that by default you have to keep at least hold count of 1. You can't lose all of them since there's 2 of them. You have to hold at least 1. You can change that hold count to be all of them if you want. So you could put 3 there and you have to hold all 3. You can't lose a single one. When Creeper covers it, that's when you lose it. Oh, here comes Airsack again. He is. He's making a mistake. He is headed right where I want him. There you go, buddy. Right where I wanted him. I had snipers to take out the orbs, and I had additional missile defenses. So he marched right into my trap. I hear some rockets launching. Let's disable him and him and him. Re-enable that one, because I think my harvest rate probably can, from this one crystal, probably can only keep up with 1, if I had to guess. But that does give us some orbitals. It gives us a rain and or one of these others. Singularity sucks it all up into one place, like a black hole deployed on the map. Damper just stops the flow, makes it very viscous. Rain, of course, is heavy destruction. I guess to actually win on this map, as is, you just need to get in there, be aggressive. He can hold that position. We'll see. He is earned, so he will do a best possible job, but he needs ammo to get his job done. And I misbuilt a tower. My fault. Try that again. Another rocket just launched. That'll take us to 4 orbitals. If I save up for 5, I could do a conversion. That might be game over right there. Of course, to win, quote win, all I have to do is sneak around there and get that totem. Probably could concentrate some forces and do exactly that. Alright, he's nullified, so one of the advantages now is to take this hill, which is high ground, increase some range here. Higher the better. Oops, a little bit of crimson here. It's harder to kill. It's not indestructible, it's just harder to kill. It's thin enough and small enough, though, that with this army of mortars here, they're going to eliminate it. That was the hold objective. It defaults to 20 minutes. I added it at 15 minutes game time. Where are you headed this time? Not quite going for the hill. You might go in range a little bit, though. See if we can join him. Yep. He's headed there with full chains in tow. I built those guys in that little plateau there. They're getting a little bit of work in on him. Just enough to anger him. Where's that going? That's Paul's. I didn't have enough snipers here. Some of it got through to a particularly bad location right where the factory is. I did have a mortar or two left around. He's not dead yet, is he? Got a little bug there in my radar. Hopefully somebody will notice and add that to GitHub for me. See how the little icon is left? That just means I forgot to clear up the to send the message to clear it up when an air sac was destroyed. Easy fix. Just got to remember to fix it. All right, let's come on in range here. I'm really waiting for one more, and I'm almost there. Almost there. My iron cannon is just owning that. Now, we're at 5. Which means we can do conversion. Where we want to do this. Let's go to top view. I could do it right square in the middle right there. Maybe. Maybe. Expensive. That represents 1,000 liftic. And let's... Yeah, that probably means... You know, when you get the enemy on the run, that's when you press your advantage. Don't delay. We want to eliminate the creeper from as much of that area as possible. I just need to get as many weapons as I can. Before the next breeder cycle picks up. That's right. Almost got it. Almost. Look at that. I think we have it pushed off. At that point, if it's not allowed to flow back on here, then all sources of creeper have been eliminated from the map. Oh, a tiny little bit right there. We got it. Now it's just a matter of walking over there. We won't be needing any more of these, so let's turn him off. We do need the liftic to activate the totem, and at this point it's just a matter of when that tiny little bit, last bit, gets completely crushed. And liftic should be en route. We have enough to activate it. Here he comes. Totem should activate. Right there. The totem should activate. That's it. We just made a completely silly map and played it to completion. And you know, it actually wasn't that bad. It could be obviously made more difficult and more challenging with some staged objectives like the hold. Got to do that first. Got to rush to hold all of the hold bases, then maybe move the resources into a tighter area, reduce this terrain here. There's 1,000 things you could do to make this more entertaining, including adding in some custom units, maybe put a pre-existing Bertha or a beam weapon up here. I don't know that I've shown the beam. I might have shown some screenshots, I don't remember. Or maybe I did do a video once, like a dark beam, a sweeper beam, a custom unit that just cuts right through the creeper, and then crank this nexus up. That might be neat. Oh look, somebody else needs to log me another GitHub bug. The air sac launched. Well, you know what? That's not a bug. I've not nullified that, and I've not set a nullify objective. So of course it will continue to spawn. It's supposed to. Just because you've completed any given objective doesn't mean the units turn off. So that's working as designed. Where's he going? Where, oh where? Plop right into my collection of anti-creeper. There's not a lot he can do to hurt me. He has to directly hit structure with a full-on load. I've got enough snipers and enough missiles around and plenty of anti-creeper around to keep him from doing that. He could hurt this island, so yeah, I need more. I would need more of these missiles here on my ground, and plenty of snipers stuck around to neutralize any orbs he might toss my way. Oh, look at that. Plop, plop, plop. But good luck with it. Good idea. If he had happened to land, get a little creeper there on a breeder cycle, it would have amplified the effect. Had I not had weapons and anti-creeper everywhere. Pop, 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 bye. See ya. Good effort, but you failed. So yeah, that is the state of the game right now. You can tell there's a few glitches and bugs here and there. You can also tell that there are some models yet to be redone. Anything that's in the demo was already redone, but some other models, like the cube with a sphere taken out of it, or a cylinder taken out of it, and needs doing or redoing. The sprayer is going to get an update because that wasn't in the demo, and some of these other guys over here in special. It takes a few hours each to do those, but the biggest thing I have left to do, of course, is finish the expedition. These are all the missions that I have completed so far. About half of the story missions. Each one has to be carefully crafted to do tutorial elements and then expose other things to the player. Lots of handcrafted and fractal geometry together, along with custom units. And I'm not going to play this. I'm just going to show you what the map looks like without spoiling anything. So got some, just let it run. There's different ways to make creeper on maps. In this case, there are these blobs, and they're programmed to go to a fixed location, and they carry a huge payload, so that when they get there, it's a type of emitter, essentially powered by blobs. So in order to deal with that, you need to deal with the blobs. Ideally neutralize their nests, then they don't launch anymore. If you had access to snipers, then you could snipe them if you have access to snipers. There's mesh on this map that will conduct it around and carry it onto the mainland here. So yeah, this is still in essentially a tutorial stage of the game. Which is why you still see call outs and stuff like that, and story driven info caches and things like that. So yeah, I have to make these maps, and then I have to play test it, then I have to make it, and I have to play test it over and over and over again, get the story elements right, the scripting stuff right. The story has to mesh with the scripting elements, and then when I'm done, I move on to the next one. Each one can take anywhere from a day to several days to do. I want to get that done before I start a full-on beta program. So there we are. I'm 8 minutes past my 2-minute or 2-hour window. So I appreciate folks watching. Hope you will wish list the game, and hope you will purchase it when it becomes available. Every little bit helps out. I have about 4 years in this game, which is about 1 year longer than I had in the previous two titles I worked on, Group Rule 3 and Particle Fleet. So yeah, it's a big investment of my time and resources. So I hope to get her done in December, and I hope you will enjoy it. So follow on Discord, YouTube, forums, just wherever, Twitter. I'm usually hanging out on Discord, so if you post something, I'll usually read it. If not within a day, sometimes immediately, within an hour. So you can reach me, you can reach other people who are very knowledgeable about the game and the community, and they can answer questions as well. And sometimes we just like to hear from new folks and see what kind of thoughts they have about the game and their experience with the earlier games. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.